During dinner, my sister said she was pregnant and claimed the father is my husband. I need to tell you about the night my entire world shattered over roasted chicken and mashed potatoes. It was supposed to be a normal family dinner, the kind we'd had 100 times before, my parents, my husband Marcus, my younger sister Vanessa, and me. Mom had been insisting on these monthly dinners ever since Marcus and I got married 3 years ago. She said it was important to maintain family bonds. If I'd known what was coming, I would have burned those bonds to ash myself. We were sitting around my parents' dining room table, the one Dad had built himself 20 years ago. Mom had made her famous herb-roasted chicken. The house smelled like rosemary and garlic, and everything felt warm and safe and normal. Marcus was telling my dad about a promotion he was up for at work. I was helping Mom bring out the sides. Vanessa was on her phone, as usual, barely contributing to the conversation. That should have been my first warning sign. Vanessa was never quiet unless she was planning something. Nessa, put the phone away, Mom said as we all sat down. We're having family time. Vanessa looked up, and I noticed something in her expression that I couldn't quite read. Her eyes were bright, almost feverish. She was wearing this little smile that made my stomach twist, though I didn't know why yet. Actually, Mom, Vanessa said, setting her phone down slowly, deliberately. I have something I need to share with everyone. It seemed like the right time with the whole family together. Mom's face lit up immediately. Oh, are you finally going back to school? I knew you'd come around. I'm pregnant. The words dropped into the middle of the table like a grenade. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her chest. Dad set down his fork carefully. Marcus froze mid-reach for the water pitcher. I felt my heart squeeze. Vanessa had always been irresponsible, chaotic, but she was my baby sister. I was already mentally preparing myself to be supportive, to help her figure this out, too. The father is Marcus. Time stopped. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean the entire universe ground to a halt. The ambient noise of the house, the hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock, my own breathing, all of it just ceased. I stared at her, at my sister, at this person I'd known for 26 years, who I'd shared a bedroom with growing up, who I'd taught to ride a bike, who'd been my maid of honor. What? The word came out of my mouth, but it didn't sound like my voice. It sounded distant and hollow. Vanessa's eyes met mine, and there was something in them, triumph, fear, both. I'm sorry, Claire, I didn't know how to tell you. It's been eating me alive for weeks. But I can't keep lying. I'm 10 weeks pregnant and Marcus is the father. Marcus erupted from his chair so violently it toppled backward. What the fuck are you talking about? Marcus, Dad started. No, Marcus's voice cracked. He was staring at Vanessa like she'd grown a second head. No, this is insane. Claire, you cannot possibly. This is complete bullshit. I have never touched your sister. I would never. It was the night of Claire's business trip, Vanessa said, and her voice was so calm. Too calm, like she'd rehearsed this. 2.5 months ago, you remember, Claire? You went to that conference in Seattle. I did remember. 3 days in Seattle for a marketing conference. I'd texted Marcus every night. He'd sent me pictures of his dinner, complained about being bored, told me he missed me. You came by the house, Vanessa continued, looking at Marcus now. You said you were lonely, you'd been drinking, we talked, and it just happened. I know it was wrong. I know I should have stopped it, but I never went to your house. Marcus was shouting now, his face bright red. Claire, you have to believe me. I don't know what kind of sick game she's playing, but I swear to God. You're lying, Vanessa said softly. She pulled out her phone, swiped a few times, then held it up. I have the Uber receipt. You took an Uber to my apartment at 9:47 p.m. on March 15th. My mom made a choking sound. I couldn't breathe. I literally could not get air into my lungs. Let me see that, Dad demanded, reaching for the phone. Vanessa handed it over. Dad stared at the screen, his jaw working. When he looked up at Marcus, his expression had changed from confusion to something harder. This shows an Uber from your address to Vanessa's apartment, Dad said quietly. At the time, she said, I don't know what that is, but I never ordered that. Marcus looked at me desperately. Claire, baby, please, you know me, I would never cheat on you, especially not with… He stopped himself, but we all knew what he was about to say, especially not with her. Vanessa flinched, and tears welled up in her eyes. I knew you'd do this. I knew you'd try to deny it and make me look crazy. That's why I saved everything. What everything? I heard myself ask. My voice sounded far away. Vanessa's fingers flew across her phone screen. Then my phone buzzed, and Marcus's, and both my parents'. I looked down at the notification. A photo. It was Marcus's car in a parking lot. Vanessa's apartment complex parking lot. The timestamp read March 15th, 11:34 p.m. I took that when you were leaving, Vanessa said. I almost didn't. I thought maybe we could just pretend it never happened. But then I missed my period and I took the test and I realized I couldn't hide this. Another buzz, another photo. This one was blurry, clearly taken from inside an apartment looking out. A figure that could have been Marcus walking toward a car. Another buzz, a screenshot of text messages. The contact name was M, and the preview showed messages like, Are you awake? And can I come over? I saved these before you deleted them from my phone, Vanessa said to Marcus. You thought you were so careful. Those aren't, I never sent those. Marcus was frantic now, looking at each of us in turn. Someone faked these. This is identity theft or something. Claire, please. But I was staring at the messages. The writing style, it did sound like Marcus. The way he texted, the emojis he used. Claire, Mom said carefully, maybe you and Marcus should go home and talk about this privately. No, the word came out sharp. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. You're lying. Hope flashed across Marcus's face. Claire, Vanessa started. You're lying, I said again, louder. You have to be, there's no way Marcus would, we're happy. We're trying for a baby. We've been trying for a baby for 8 months. Why would he? Because I let him do things you won't, Vanessa said, and her voice had an edge to it now. The room went dead silent. Excuse me, I whispered. Vanessa's eyes were bright with tears, but there was something else there too, something that looked almost like satisfaction. He told me about your problems, about how you're too stressed for intimacy, about how you're always tired, always working, always putting him second. He said he felt alone in his own marriage. Every word was a knife, sliding between my ribs. Vanessa Marie, Dad said, his voice like thunder. That is enough. I'm just telling the truth, Vanessa shot back. I'm sorry it hurts, but Claire deserves to know that her husband was unhappy enough to. Get out, I said. Everyone looked at me. Get out of this house, now. Claire, she's your sister, Mom began. Get out, I was screaming now, standing up so fast my chair fell over backward. You come into my parents' house, you sit at this table, and you accuse my husband of you lie about. I'm not lying. Vanessa was crying now, full sobs. Why won't anyone believe me? I'm the victim here. He took advantage of me, and now I'm pregnant with his baby, and you're all treating me like I'm the bad guy. Because you are, Marcus roared. You're making up a sick, twisted lie for God knows what reason. I'll take a paternity test, Vanessa said suddenly. She wiped her eyes and looked directly at me. When the baby is born, I'll take a paternity test. Then you'll all see I'm telling the truth. My knees gave out. I sat down hard in my chair. A paternity test. She was willing to take a paternity test. Which meant either she was telling the truth, or she was the best liar I'd ever met. Marcus and I drove home in complete silence. The silence continued as we walked into our house. The house we'd bought together 2 years ago. The house we'd painted and furnished and filled with plans for our future. It wasn't until we were in our bedroom, the door closed, that Marcus finally spoke. I didn't do it. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. I know. Do you? He knelt in front of me, taking my hands. His eyes were red and desperate. Do you really know? because back there for a second I thought, I know you didn't sleep with her, I said, but something happened. Something that gave her those photos, those messages, that Uber receipt. Something happened, Marcus, and I need you to tell me what. Nothing happened. I swear to God, Claire, nothing. Stop, I pulled my hands away. Stop saying nothing happened. Something obviously happened or she wouldn't have evidence. Either you're lying to me or someone set you up, or I don't even know what. But you need to think, really think. March 15th. That was the first night of my conference. What did you do that night? Marcus sat back on his heels, his face crumpling. I went to Jake's. We watched the game and had some beers. I got home around 11 and went to bed. That's it. That's all I did. Jake, your brother Jake. Yes. Call him right now. Marcus pulled out his phone with shaking hands. He put it on speaker. Jake answered on the third ring. Hey man, what's up? Jake, I need you to tell Claire what we did on March 15th. March 15th. Dude, that was like 2 months ago. How am I supposed to? It was the Friday night Claire went to Seattle. We watched the Blazers game. Oh, right, yeah, that was a good game. You came over around 7. We ordered pizza, drank some beers, you left around. Shit, I don't remember exactly. 10:30, 11. See, Marcus looked at me pleadingly. I was with Jake. Could he have left and come back? I asked. Claire, could he have left for an hour or so and come back? There was silence on the other end of the line. I mean, maybe. I went to the bathroom a few times, but I would have noticed if he was gone for like an hour, you know. We were watching the game together. Not exactly the ironclad alibi I'd hoped for. Thanks, Jake, I said tiredly. Wait, what's going on? Marcus, is everything okay? I'll call you later, Marcus said and hung up. We sat in silence. That Uber receipt, I said finally. Can we check your Uber account? Yes, good idea. Marcus opened the app, went to his history. March 15th showed one ride from his office to home at 6:47 p.m. Nothing at 9:47. Someone used your account, I said. But how? You need a phone, you need the app. Unless, I felt ice forming in my stomach. Do you have your login saved anywhere? Could someone have accessed your account from another device? Marcus's face went pale. I mean maybe. I have it saved on my laptop, but who would? Vanessa. What? Vanessa was house-sitting for us in February when we went to that wedding in Portland. Remember, she stayed here for the weekend to watch Biscuit. Our cat, we'd left our 26-year-old sister in charge of our cat for 3 days, and she'd had complete access to our house. Our computers, our lives. No, Marcus said, but he didn't sound sure anymore. She wouldn't, why would she do this? I didn't have an answer. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to my husband who I still believed, who I had to believe because the alternative was too horrific, and I stared at the ceiling and tried to understand. Why would my sister do this? We'd had our issues growing up. Every sister did, but nothing that would explain. This was beyond sibling rivalry. This was scorched earth. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. I know you hate me right now. I don't blame you, but I'm telling the truth. I'm sorry it happened this way. I never meant to hurt you. I stared at those words until they stopped making sense. Then another text. He told me he was going to leave you anyway, that the marriage was already over. I wouldn't have done it if I'd known you still loved him. My hands were shaking so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. I typed back, you're lying. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I have voicemails. Do you want to hear them? My blood went cold. Send them. Not until you promise you won't just delete them without listening. I need you to hear the truth. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I wrote, send them. A minute later, my phone rang. A voicemail notification. I got out of bed as quietly as I could and went into the bathroom, locked the door, sat on the edge of the tub. I pressed play. Marcus's voice filled my ear. Hey, it's me, just calling to say hi. Hope you're doing okay. Call me back when you get a chance. That was it. 10 seconds. Nothing incriminating. Nothing that even suggested anything inappropriate. But why had Marcus called my sister to say hi? I checked the date on the voicemail. January 18th, 2 months before the alleged affair. I texted Vanessa, this proves nothing. Another voicemail came through. Nessa, hey, thanks for the advice earlier. You were right. I should probably just talk to her about it. Anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. Advice? About what? Another one. It's me again. Sorry to keep bugging you. I don't know who else to talk to about this. Call me when you're free. My heart was pounding. These voicemails. They showed Marcus calling Vanessa multiple times, having conversations with her that I knew nothing about. But they didn't prove an affair. They proved, what, a friendship. When had my husband and my sister become friends? I confronted Marcus in the morning. Why were you calling Vanessa in January? He looked confused, still half asleep. What? January, you called her multiple times. What were you talking about? Understanding dawned on his face, followed quickly by something that looked like guilt. Oh, that, I was trying to plan a surprise for you. A surprise? Your birthday. I wanted to do something special, and I know you and Vanessa are close, so I asked her for ideas. Places you'd mentioned wanting to go, things you'd want. That's all it was, Claire, I swear. My birthday. My birthday was in February. He'd taken me to that new restaurant I'd been wanting to try and gotten me tickets to see my favorite band. Vanessa had helped him plan it. Why wouldn't you tell me you were talking to her? Because it was supposed to be a surprise. If I told you I was calling her, you would have figured it out. It made sense. It was a reasonable explanation. So why did it feel wrong? My mother called me that afternoon while I was at work. I'd taken the day off yesterday after the dinner disaster, but I couldn't hide forever. Claire, honey, I need you to come over. We need to talk as a family. If Vanessa is there, I'm not coming. She's not. It's just your father and me, please. I went after work, dreading whatever new nightmare awaited me. Mom and Dad were sitting at the kitchen table, looking like they'd aged 10 years overnight. There were papers spread out in front of them. What's this? I asked. Sit down, Dad said. I sat. Mom took a deep breath. Your sister has been struggling for a while, financially, emotionally. She came to us last month asking for money, a lot of money. How much? $50,000. She said she had debts. Credit cards, medical bills, other things she wouldn't specify. We told her no. We don't have that kind of money to spare, and we thought it was time for her to learn to handle her own problems. I felt a cold weight settling in my stomach. And now she's pregnant and claiming Marcus is the father, Dad said flatly. The timing is convenient. You think she's lying, hope flared in my chest. You think this is all. We think it's possible, Mom said carefully. Vanessa has always been dramatic, impulsive. She's made poor decisions before, but this would be a new level of. She has evidence, I said. Photos, messages, receipts. How would she fake all that? Dad leaned forward. Claire, I worked in IT for 30 years. The things you can fake with technology now. It's not hard if you know what you're doing. Photos can be doctored. Messages can be fabricated. Even Uber receipts. If she had access to Marcus's account somehow, she could have ordered a ride in his name. But why? The question burst out of me. Why would she do this? Even if she needed money, there are a million other ways to get it. Why destroy her relationship with me? Why accuse Marcus of something that would? Because if Marcus is the father, then you would be obligated to help her, Mom said quietly. Morally, if not financially, the baby would be your niece or nephew, Marcus's child. She'd have leverage over both of you for the rest of your lives. The room spun. That's insane. Is it? Dad asked. Think about it. If she's really pregnant with some random guy's baby, she's on her own. We'd help where we could, but we'd expect her to step up, to handle her own responsibilities. But if it's Marcus's baby, everything changes. She'd have legal rights to child support. You'd feel obligated to be involved. She'd always have a connection to you, always have a reason to need money, need help. Oh my God, I put my head in my hands. We're not saying this is definitely what's happening, Mom said quickly. But we think you need to consider it. We think you need to protect yourself. And Marcus. She said she'd take a paternity test. Not until after the baby is born, Dad pointed out. That's 7 months away. 7 months of uncertainty, of your marriage being under this cloud. 7 months of her being able to manipulate the situation. There are paternity tests you can do while you're pregnant, I said. Non-invasive ones. They're expensive, but... She'd have to agree to it, Mom said, and I doubt she will. I was right, she wouldn't. I called Vanessa that night and asked her to take an early paternity test. Those tests can be dangerous, she said. I'm not risking my baby's health. The non-invasive tests have no risk. They just need a blood sample from you and Marcus. They're expensive. I'll pay for it. No. Vanessa. I said no, Claire. I'm not going to let you bully me into taking some test just because you can't accept the truth. I already said I'd do a paternity test after the baby is born. If you can't wait that long, that's your problem. She hung up on me. I sat there staring at my phone, rage building in my chest. She wouldn't take the test, which meant either. A, she was telling the truth and wanted to drag out our suffering for as long as possible. B, she was lying and knew a test would expose her. I didn't know which was worse. Over the next few weeks, Vanessa played her role perfectly. She posted on social media about her pregnancy, photos of her holding ultrasound pictures, complaints about morning sickness, excited messages about becoming a mom. She never mentioned Marcus specifically, but she didn't have to. Anyone who knew our family knew the implication. People started asking questions. Friends reached out to me with carefully worded texts. Hey, just checking in. Saw Vanessa's news. How are you doing? How was I doing? I was losing my mind. The doubt crept in slowly, like poison. I believed Marcus. I wanted to believe Marcus. But those voicemails, those calls, that Uber receipt, it all created this tiny crack in my certainty. What if he had cheated? What if he was lying? What if the man I'd trusted with my entire life had betrayed me in the worst possible way? I started watching him. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't stop. I checked his phone when he was in the shower. I looked at his computer history. I showed up at his office unexpectedly to make sure he was really there. I found nothing, which somehow made it worse, because if he was smart enough to cover his tracks this well, how would I ever know the truth? Our marriage began to crack under the pressure. You don't believe me, Marcus said one night after catching me going through his jacket pockets. I do believe you. Then, why are you treating me like a criminal? Why are you checking up on me constantly? Because my sister is claiming to be pregnant with your baby, and I don't know what to believe anymore. We fought. God, we fought constantly, about everything and nothing. The stress was eating us alive. And through it all, Vanessa was there, posting updates about her baby, talking about nursery colors and baby names, living her life like she hadn't just detonated a nuclear bomb in the middle of our family. 6 weeks after the dinner, I hired a private investigator. I didn't tell Marcus. I didn't tell anyone. I just needed answers. The pie's name was Linda Chen, and she was expensive, professional, and brutally honest. I'll look into everything, she said. Your sister's finances, her recent activities, her social connections. If there's evidence of fabrication, I'll find it. But I need you to understand, sometimes the truth isn't what we want it to be. I just need to know, I said. Whatever it is, I need to know. Linda worked fast. Within a week, she had a report for me. Your sister is in debt, Linda said, sliding a folder across her desk. Approximately $78,000 in credit card debt, plus 2 personal loans she's defaulting on. She was recently evicted from her apartment for non-payment. She's currently staying with a friend. I flipped through the documents, my heart sinking. Mom and Dad said she asked them for money. She's asked a lot of people for money. I found Venmo requests, Cash App transactions, Facebook posts looking for loans. She's desperate. So she could be lying about the pregnancy, too. She's definitely pregnant, Linda interrupted. I confirmed that with her OBGYN's office. She's approximately 12 weeks along now. My hope deflated. But, Linda continued, I found something interesting. About 4 months ago, your sister was in a brief relationship with a man named Trevor Hastings. They met on a dating app, saw each other for about 6 weeks, then broke up. The timeline matches. Do you think he's the father? I think it's possible. I tracked him down and talked to him, told him I was doing background research for a potential employer. He confirmed they dated and that the relationship was sexual. When I asked why they broke up, he said she became clingy and intense and started talking about serious commitment after only a month. He ended things. Does he know she's pregnant? No, and she's blocked him on all social media and her phone. I'd say she doesn't want him to know. I stared at the photo of Trevor Hastings, a bland, ordinary-looking guy with brown hair and a generic smile. If he's the father, why wouldn't she just say so? Linda shrugged. Maybe she thinks Marcus is a better option, better financial prospects, more stable. Or maybe she's really telling the truth and Marcus is the father. You don't believe her. I believe evidence. And right now, the evidence is circumstantial on both sides. You need a paternity test. That's the only thing that will prove anything definitively. She won't take one until after the baby is born. Then that's what you'll have to wait for. But I couldn't wait. The not knowing was destroying me. I started digging on my own. I went through old photos, looking for any evidence that Marcus and Vanessa had spent time together. I found a few family gatherings, holidays, group photos where they happened to be standing near each other. Nothing unusual. I looked through Marcus's phone records going back months. The calls to Vanessa in January were there, just like she'd said. But they were brief. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 8 minutes. Not the hours-long conversations you'd expect from an affair. I checked our bank statements for any unusual charges. Nothing. No hotel rooms, no gifts, no secret expenses. Every piece of evidence I found supported Marcus's innocence. And yet the doubt remained, because Vanessa had evidence too. Photos and messages and that damn Uber receipt. One of us had to be wrong. One of us had to be lying. Or maybe we both were wrong, and the truth was something we hadn't even considered yet. In early June, 3 months after the dinner, Vanessa started showing. She posted a photo on Instagram, her hand cradling a small but definite baby bump, caption reading, "Can't believe I'm going to be a mama red." The comments section was full of congratulations, heart emojis, and excited messages. Then someone commented, "Who's the daddy?" Vanessa replied, "Someone who isn't ready to be public yet, respecting his privacy for now red." It was vague enough to maintain plausible deniability, but clear enough that anyone who knew the rumors would understand what she was implying. I stared at that photo for hours, at her smile, at the way she cradled her stomach. She looked happy. She looked like someone telling the truth. Or someone who was the world's best actress. My relationship with my parents became strained. They believed Marcus, they said they believed Marcus, but I could see the doubt in their eyes too, the unasked questions, the careful way they spoke around the subject. "Have you talked to Vanessa lately?" Mom would ask. "No. She's family, Claire, whatever happened. If she's lying, she's not family. She's a stranger who happens to share my DNA. And if she's not lying." I never had an answer for that. Marcus started drinking more, not enough to be a problem, but enough that I noticed. He'd come home from work and pour himself a scotch, then another, then another. "I can't live like this," he said one night, staring into his glass. "Having everyone suspect me of something I didn't do, watching you look at me like you're not sure if you know me anymore. This is killing me, Claire." "It's killing me too." "Then what do we do?" "I don't know." We sat in silence, Two people who'd promised forever to each other, now separated by a chasm of doubt and suspicion. "Do you want a divorce?" Marcus asked quietly. The question hit me like a physical blow. What? If you can't trust me, if you're always going to wonder, maybe it would be better to just... No, the word came out fierce. No, I love you. I'm not giving up on us because of whatever game Vanessa is playing. What if it's not a game? Then we'll deal with it, together, but I'm not losing you. Marcus looked at me, and I saw tears in his eyes. I didn't do it, Claire. I swear on everything I love, I never touched your sister. I know, I said. And I did know. Somewhere beneath all the doubt and fear and confusion, I knew. I just wished knowing was enough to make this stop. In July, Vanessa was about 5 months along. She'd moved back in with our parents temporarily, Mom's idea, though I could tell Dad wasn't thrilled about it. She needs support, Mom had said when she told me. She's pregnant and alone. She has friends. Claire, what do you want me to say, Mom? That I'm okay with her living with you helping her after what she did. She's my daughter, too. I can't just abandon her. The implication hung between us, unlike you. I stopped going to my parents' house. If Vanessa was there, I wasn't. It was that simple. Which meant I rarely saw my parents anymore. Vanessa was isolating me from my family, and she didn't even have to try. Her mere presence did it. Then in early August, something changed. I got a call from Linda, my pie. "I found something," she said. "Can you come to my office?" I was there within an hour. Linda pulled up a video on her computer. "I've been monitoring your sister's social media and her known associates. Last night, she went to a bar. This is security footage from that bar." The video showed Vanessa, very visibly pregnant, sitting at a table with friends. They were laughing, drinking well, her friends were drinking. Vanessa had what looked like water. "Okay," I said. "Watch." Linda fast-forwarded. The timestamp showed 11:47 p.m. Vanessa got up, went to the bathroom. When she came back, she was walking differently, holding her stomach differently. Linda paused the video. "You see it?" I didn't, not at first. Then I looked closer. The bump was bigger, noticeably bigger, like she'd gone from 5 months pregnant to 7 months pregnant during a bathroom trip. "She's faking it," I breathed. "Or enhancing it," Linda said. "Pregnancy pillows are easy to get. You can make yourself look more pregnant than you are." "But she is pregnant. You confirmed that." I confirmed she went to an OBGYN. I confirmed there are medical records, but I couldn't access the records themselves. HIPAA laws. I only know what she's been telling people. "So what are you saying?" Linda pulled up another document. "I'm saying that I found photos of your sister from 3 weeks ago at a friend's pool party. She was in a bikini." She showed me the photo. Vanessa in a bikini, laughing, looking carefree. And barely showing. Maybe a small bump, the kind you could mistake for bloating. Not the pronounced pregnancy bump she'd been displaying in her recent Instagram posts. "She's lying about how far along she is," I said slowly. "Maybe, or she's using prosthetics to look more pregnant than she is. Why would she do that?" I thought about it. To make it more real, to make people more sympathetic, or to push the timeline, Linda finished. If she makes herself look more pregnant, it reinforces her story about when it happened. My mind was racing. Can we prove this? Can we prove she's faking the bump? The video is suggestive but not definitive. She could argue the angle makes it look different. But combined with the other evidence, the pool party photos, the financial motive, Trevor Hastings, it builds a case. But it's not proof. No, the only proof is a paternity test. We were back to that, always back to that. I showed Marcus the video that night. He watched it 3 times, his expression cycling through hope, anger, and exhaustion. "So she's definitely lying," he said. "About the bump size, yes. About everything else, we still don't know for sure." "Claire, come on, you saw that video. She's faking a pregnancy." "She's faking how pregnant she looks. She might still actually be pregnant." with someone else's baby. We don't know that. We were fighting again. We'd been doing that a lot. Marcus stood up abruptly, packing the bedroom. Claire, I can't take this anymore. Every time I turn around, she's there, insinuating, manipulating. I feel like I'm being buried alive. I watched him, my chest tight. I know, I feel it too. But we can't let her win, Marcus. That's what she wants, us broken, us fighting, us doubting everything. He stopped and faced me, eyes desperate. So, what do we do? I took a deep breath. We don't play her game, not her lies, not her manipulations. We gather the truth and then we hit back. The investigation intensifies. Linda, the pie, dug deeper. She uncovered the full timeline of Vanessa's so-called evidence. The Uber receipt, fabricated, made from a phone she had access to. The photos of Marcus at her building, taken from angles that made him look suspicious, but timestamps showed he wasn't even in the vicinity. The messages and calls, easily doctored. She had intercepted Marcus's phone while house-sitting, then edited and staged everything. You're dealing with a pro at deception, Linda said grimly. She's trying to create a reality where everyone doubts Marcus, but it's all smoke and mirrors. I felt a surge of hope. Finally, we had proof that Vanessa had manufactured the entire scenario. The confrontation. We didn't announce it to the family immediately. No dramatic dinner table reveal. Instead, I sent Vanessa a message. We know everything. The lies, the evidence, the manipulation. You have one chance to admit the truth before this goes public. She didn't respond. A week later, I showed up at her apartment with Linda and Marcus. Vanessa opened the door, visibly pregnant, face guarded. I handed her a folder. Proof, every lie you've told, every attempt to ruin our marriage. She flipped through it, her eyes widening, then narrowing. You don't understand. I only did this because. Marcus stepped forward, voice low but deadly calm. Because you wanted to destroy us, because you're selfish, because you think this makes you powerful. Vanessa's face twisted, rage and panic mixing. You can't. You tried, I said, and you failed. Linda added firmly, we have records, surveillance, and proof that all your claims about Marcus are fabricated. This isn't just about personal revenge anymore. If you continue, there will be legal consequences. Vanessa's facade crumbled. She sank to the floor, finally sobbing. But we didn't care about her tears. They were the tears of someone finally caught in the trap they set for themselves. Rebuilding. After that, the tension in our lives began to ease. Marcus and I repaired the cracks in our trust slowly, carefully. Every day, a little more laughter, a little more security. Vanessa moved out of our parents' house permanently. My parents, shaken by the revelations, became fiercely protective of Marcus and me. We didn't gloat, we didn't humiliate, but we lived fully, happily, and unshakably together. The ultimate satisfaction. Months later, Vanessa had to admit her deceit to the world. Her friends, her social media followers, even the people who had sent us sympathetic messages. No dramatic revenge post, no viral scandal, just the quiet truth. The lies fell apart on their own. Marcus held my hand one evening, and I realized something. We had survived something that could have destroyed us, and in surviving it, we became stronger, closer, unbreakable. Not through anger, not through vengeance, through truth, patience, and unwavering trust in each other. And that, finally, was a victory worth having.